This is a breaking, fast-moving story from today, March 21st, 2026, day 22 of the 2026 Iran war. Here is a comprehensive, detailed account of everything that has happened. Iran strike on Diego Garcia, the full story. Background: how the war began. On February 28, 2026, Israel and the United States launched a coordinated series of strikes against Iran aimed at inducing regime change and targeting Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program. The strikes were reportedly causing both military and civilian casualties. The operation, dubbed Operation Epic Fury, was ordered by President Trump at 2038 UTC on February 28. At 0645 UTC on the same day, the Israeli Air Force began an unprecedented wave of decapitation strikes. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and several senior officials were killed. Iran's entire command and control structure was shattered in the opening hours of the conflict. The war has effectively choked off the narrow and economically crucial Strait of Hormuz, which separates Iran from the United Arab Emirates. Around 1/5 of the world's oil transits the strait. Daily transit calls tumbled to nearly zero, and Brent crude futures rose to $111.19 a barrel. The UK's evolving role. Britain's involvement became a central flashpoint. On March 1, 2026, Prime Minister Keir Starmer said the UK could use UK military bases, specifically Diego Garcia and RAF Fairford in Gloucestershire, for a specific and limited defensive purpose: to destroy Iranian missiles at source. Previously, the UK had limited the US to only using those bases to hit missile sites targeting British interests in the region. But on Friday, March 20th, Downing Street agreed to widen the scope, formally allowing U.S. forces to conduct defensive operations to degrade the missile sites and capabilities being used to attack ships in the Strait of Hormuz. This was politically explosive domestically. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch described Starmer's move as the mother of all U-turns, while the Liberal Democrats and the Green Party demanded a parliamentary vote before any further permissions were granted. President Trump, for his part, said he was surprised by the UK's late response. Iran's warning and then the strike. Iran's foreign minister issued a direct warning. In a post on X, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said the vast majority of the UK's population do not want any part in the Israel-US war of choice on Iran, and warned, ignoring his own people, Mr. Starmer is putting British lives in danger by allowing UK bases to be used for aggression against Iran. Iran will exercise its right to self-defense. Hours later, Iran acted. Iran launched 2 intermediate-range ballistic missiles toward Diego Garcia, a remote U.S.-UK military base in the Indian Ocean, in an apparent attempt to project power far beyond the Middle East, according to U.S. officials cited by the Wall Street Journal. Neither missile struck the base. One failed during flight, while a U.S. warship fired an SM-3 interceptor at the second. It was not immediately clear whether the interceptor successfully destroyed the missile. Crucially, the UK Ministry of Defense confirmed to CNBC Iran's unsuccessful targeting of Diego Garcia was before yesterday's update on the use of UK bases by the U.S. In other words, Iran launched the missiles before Starmer even formally expanded the U.S.'s permissions, suggesting the attack was preemptive retaliation for what Tehran anticipated was coming. The strategic significance, a missile capability nobody expected. Diego Garcia is not just any military base. It is equipped with dedicated hangar facilities for the B-2 stealth bomber and can accommodate a vast number of strategic bombers, air-to-air refuelers, and intelligence-gathering aircraft. In 2025, the base saw its first known fighter deployment of F-15E Strike Eagles. Diego Garcia is a small atoll in the central Indian Ocean, roughly 4,000 kilometers from the Iranian coastline. It has historically been the primary hub for pre-positioning nuclear-powered submarines and massive fuel supplies, and serves as a stepping stone for long-range bomber missions across Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. The distance is the shocking part. The reported attack marked Iran's first operational use of intermediate-range ballistic missiles, a significant attempt to reach far beyond the Middle East and threaten U.S. interests, the Wall Street Journal noted. Iranian Foreign Minister Arakchi had previously indicated Iran's military had deliberately limited its ballistic missile range to 2,000 kilometers. Diego Garcia is approximately 4,000 kilometers from Iran. By firing at that distance, Iran effectively revealed that its actual capability was double what it had publicly acknowledged. Iranian state media boasted that the missile range is beyond what the enemy previously imagined. Analysts believe the attack may have involved an upgraded Khorramshahr-class missile, suggesting Iran shifted focus toward high-end, long-range technology. By attempting to reach 4,000 kilometers, Iran moved from a regional power to a trans-regional threat, a range that brings major European capitals, including Athens and Rome, into theoretical range of Iranian ballistic technology. The UK's response. In a statement on Saturday morning, the UK Ministry of Defence said Iran's reckless attacks, lashing out across the region and holding hostage the Strait of Hormuz, are a threat to British interests and British allies. The UK ministry confirmed the attack was unsuccessful and condemned it in the strongest terms. Prime Minister Starmer announced he would hold a COBRA emergency meeting to discuss plans to help British households with the rising cost of living caused by the war. The broader war context on Day 22. The Diego Garcia strike did not occur in isolation. On March 21st alone, Iran struck Qatar's natural gas export facility, threatening not just world energy markets, but also global technology supply chains, given Qatar supplies roughly 30% of the world's helium, a key input in chip-making, space rockets, and medical imaging. Iran launched cluster bomb attacks on central Israel, hitting a daycare in Rishon LeZion. The U.S. struck Iran's Natanz uranium enrichment facility using bunker buster bombs. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper stated that Iran's ability to threaten freedom of navigation in and around the Strait of Hormuz has been degraded, citing the deployment of multiple large bombs on an underground facility along Iran's coastline. On the diplomatic front, Trump said he is not interested in a ceasefire with Iran, but later said the U.S. is considering winding down military operations. The Trump administration also waived sanctions on the purchase of Iranian oil at sea for 30 days, expected to bring 140 million barrels of oil to global markets. What it all means. The Diego Garcia strike attempt is arguably the most geopolitically significant single act of the war so far. Iran demonstrated, even in failure, that it possesses missiles capable of striking targets 4,000 kilometers away, shattering the assumption that remote U.S.-UK bases in the Indian Ocean were safely out of reach. It escalated Britain from a peripheral supporter to an active target. It revealed a weapons capability that Western intelligence had apparently underestimated. And it signals that even as U.S. and Israel airstrikes degrade Iran's conventional forces inside the country, Tehran retains the ambition and partial capacity to strike back globally, not just regionally. The war is now firmly in its most dangerous phase.